Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
I've been running from 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Good Monday evening, everybody. It is a late one. It is 9:20 where I am at. I just got in from work not that long ago, and I decided to look online on what was hitting the news. And there's so much again today for it being a Monday. I can't believe it. So I'm like, you know what? I have to go on and put some of this stuff out there if you guys didn't hear about it. And some of it you may have heard, but you can look into it deeper. But some of it doesn't make me very happy, like what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon. So I will get to that, of course. But in the meantime, I hope everybody had a great Monday, a great weekend. We know Mondays are tough, Mondays are hard. But like I said, the news hit hard today. So I wanted to cover some things after work. And I threw some stuff together, and we can go ahead and get right at it, you guys. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about tonight was for Governor Ron DeSantis. It came out according from Politico that an Anheuser-Busch Bud Light lobbyist is also a major bundler for DeSantis. So the guy's name is Slater Bayless. He's a former Jeb Bush bundler. He was even the third largest bundler for the DeSantis campaign at one point during his Four Seasons donor meet the day of his campaign launch. Bayless raised at least $242,000 for DeSantis. And what bundlers are, because I had to look this up, it's like, they call them funders too, but bundlers are basically the ones that organize and collect campaign contributions from the donors. And then the checks, when they come in, they're actually put in a bundle. So that's how they come up with the name that they're bundlers, because they're the check and / donor money handlers. Sometimes they're called raisers for like fundraisers and stuff like that, but it distinguishes them from the writer of checks, fundraisers versus and funders versus the bundlers. But I found that very interesting because we all know what's been going on with Anheuser-Busch and with their whole campaign and endorsement from that transgender person, Dylan. They've wiped out and lost $27 billion since that began with Dylan. And interestingly enough, then to tie it into DeSantis, because we all know what Mr. T's been saying about DeSantis, but also there's a viral video that I watched that's going around from 2017. And it features Larry Fink. And we all know Larry Fink, he's the CEO of BlackRock. In the video, it's only about a minute long. He talks about the left's ambitious agenda to transform America. In his own words, he says, actually, the NWO, New World Order, or the Great Reset, as he calls it. But in the video, he talks about, as far as his investment criteria, and remember, this is from 2017, he said you have to force behaviors. And at BlackRock, we're forcing behaviors. That if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race, the composition of your team, then you're going to be impacted. So we're going to be asking this of companies. So basically what he's saying and said in 2017 was they're going to force behaviors of the people that they invest in. Before they're going to even invest in these companies, they're going to have to do what these guys say that they're going to do, because otherwise they're not going to write the checks. They're not going to support them. These stockholders won't back them. So it's basically the woke activism that's going on. Basically, that happened after Mr. T. It really went hot in 2017 after Mr. T took office and stuff. And then also back in 2017, a lady named Melody Hobson, she is the CEO of Ariel Investments, began pushing diversity within corporate America. So basically, what's the saying with this video being re-released? And maybe some of you have seen it before or knew this, but it's been going on since 2017. And basically, Melody Hobson was saying that it's time for corporate America to stop trying to create workplace diversity. It's time to start doing it. She said trying is not the same as doing, and that she wishes more chief executives would emulate the football player Colin Kaepernick. Remember him? And he knelt during the national anthem and stuff. So basically, she was saying that he is her hero, that more people should be strong and outspoken like him. And that basically, she says, I'm in awe of him because he took it upon himself to publicly promote American values of life, liberty, and we all cherish that, don't we? So basically, like I said, I was kind of dumbfounded to find this out from 2017. Like I said, even though it's only a minute-long video, it's very impactful. It's out of the mouth of the person, the leader from BlackRock, and they are the biggest money manager. I mean, they have a lot of power. They have major shareholders in various companies. They've been actively using actually their power since 2017 or not even before to impact the behavior of these companies. Because once again, he said you have to force behavior. You have to do this. You have to tell these companies what you want them to do to become more diverse and stuff. And ultimately, before he'll even out of his own mouth, he said before he'll even invest in these companies, that he will bring this to these CEOs and say, listen, if you want us to invest and be shareholders, et cetera, this is what we expect of you. So basically, it's taking control of other companies and how they want a certain agenda to run, and it's their way or the highway. So you have to ask yourself, why does places or businesses like Target and Budweiser and Kohl's keep doing this? They know they're going to lose massive amounts of dollars, but it's because they won't get the financial backing and support of these shareholders in these major companies, and they'll go belly up. And basically, for us, when we say, what's been going on with these companies, that, we just don't go to them, we don't support them and stuff like that. And that's all fine and good. But my thing is, you know what? Who's the one that ends up getting punished for all this? Because what happens is when these companies lose billions of dollars, they don't necessarily go under because these big shareholders are going to keep them uplifted and support them. They'll just downsize, or maybe, they'll go under a new name. But what's going to happen is people like you and me that drive the vehicles, that deliver the items, that people that do the stock, people that work in the store and organize it, all the normal people like you and I, the low bean counters, let's say, are the ones that lose our jobs and stuff. So it's like a catch 20 because you do not want to support them. However, when they lose all this money, they start eliminating the jobs and stuff. So it's very frustrating stuff, because the financial backing is always going to be there for these major companies and corporations as long as they do what they're told to do. And that's to me, that's why they keep doing it. That's why, Kohl's went after a certain agenda. Target did it after them seeing what happened to Bud. And I think it was Tampax, with Dylan and stuff. They didn't, you think, well, why don't these companies care? They're losing all this money. And that's why, because they're following their marching orders. It's basically you and I, the lower bean counter employees that lose their jobs and stuff. They're going to keep these major companies are going to stay afloat because they're doing what they're told. And I think that the bottom line is they're hoping that they can make us break and make us succumb to their way of what they want us to do and see and be exposed to. They're probably figuring, these companies will only stay away from them for so long. Then we'll eventually start supporting them again. But then once we do cave and start supporting them again, what's going to happen is they're going to throw it at us out down our throats, and they're going to put out there anything that they want, and we're going to buy it. Because you know why? Because we went away for a while, and then we came back back because we can't do without it. And we just say, oh, well, I guess there's no hope, but, I'm just going to have to, I need whatever I need from Target or wherever. So that's what I think the bottom line is going to be, is they think, what, this is a temporary problem. Hey, good evening, Joy, to all. That it's a temporary problem, a temporary loss of money, that we'll just go ahead and go back in and we'll start supporting them again anyways. So if you haven't had a chance to see that video, it is making its way around social media. It is from 2017, and I just find it very interesting. And it all kind of ties together. And DeSantis tied into Anheuser-Busch doesn't look too good either. And so far, I haven't seen him speak out about it. Maybe he has and I just missed it. But like I said, I was at work, came home, put this stuff together because I wanted to get it out there. The next thing I wanted to talk about was who Elon Musk hired. If you guys heard about this, he hired Joe Benarock, who is a former underling of NBC and the WEF, the World Economic Forum. He is one who censored Trump ads for NBC. So I found that very interesting. He also is he's into drag queens. He became a drag queen by himself as well. There's a video on his Twitter page where, hey D-Dog, where he is him and a couple other people dressed up in like a Madonna-esque type Vogue video. And, you wouldn't think that's so bad because, we say, okay, you can be who you want to be as long as you don't involve the children. Well, the problem is on his own page, this Joe guy is a picture of him. He's in a same-sex marriage, but the problem is he's watching drag queen shows on TV with his newly adopted infant child sitting on his lap, or toddler child. It's not an infant where, it cannot not hold itself up. It's a toddler sitting on his lap watching drag queen shows with him. And that's where the problem comes in for me, because, we've all talked about this before, that we don't want children exposed to this. Do what you want to do, be who you want to be, but just don't involve the children. So I found that kind of troubling that he would hire this person. Also, the executive in there also for Twitter, not just this Joe guy, is Linda Yaccarino. She's the new Twitter CEO. So she's taken that senior role. And Yaccarino had a history of involvement with the WEF. She had initiatives to curb online speech, and she pressed Musk to give corporate advertisers more influence over content moderation at Twitter before she was hired. So these concerns are going to be heightened with the news that Joe's in there now. So I don't understand what was going on with this whole thing with Elon hiring these two people who, are basically part of that woke agenda and stuff, because, Twitter seems to be going along quite well. I know that they've been losing money because he let go of a lot of people and stuff, but, I really like Elon, and I'm kind of going to keep my eye on this, because it's kind of weird to me that he would hire people that say, we need to be more inclusive, and we need to be diverse and all this kind of stuff. And, if it wasn't a good way, I see it. But when his main guy, Joe here, is showing a picture on his own account of his young child watching drag queen shows with him, I think that's very troubling. Basically, he was also saying that he commits to being open and inclusive in everything that he does. In 2020, in a tweet to Yaccarino, so they've known each other for a while. But the thing is also, hey, Joy. Also, he's an author of a children's book. It's called Rachel's Dreams. And on the Facebook page for the book, he shared an inspiring quote, supposedly from Hillary Clinton after Trump defeated her in 2016. So what's interesting about this is now Hillary's tied into this with these people. And Elon actually put an emoji underneath this whole interview today and this whole conversation, and the emoji that Elon posted underneath Joe's comments and stuff about coming on board to Twitter is that emoji with the one eyeglass in there, like you're looking up at something, like investigating something. So I'm not really sure if Elon knows what's going on, or he's playing them, or they're playing him. It's just kind of interesting to me that he would post an emoji like that. So we got to keep our eye on that, definitely, because it's not looking good, in my opinion, for Twitter. But who am I? I'm just a normal average person, right? Elon's the one that runs Twitter, has been doing good with Twitter. I just don't understand this at all. So we'll have to wait and see what transpires out of this. Also, this is the big one that's got me troubled. Hey, Jennifer, it's good to see you. Yeah, I can't figure him out. I can't tell what side he's on either, Jennifer. I have no idea. But he does have quite a wit and quite a personality. And some days you think, oh my gosh, you're crazy. And other days you're like, you're a genius. I guess that's the way to live life. He lives it out loud and he lives it fulfilled. I was investigating some of the AI stuff that has been coming out as well. And that's been very interesting as well, and I'm going to do a show on that coming up. I'm preparing for it. But, AI all of a sudden, from back in the day, it seemed like it was all science fiction. It was never going to come true. And if it did, it was no big deal. And now here we are. There's videos out there. There's one about a monkey who has actually got an implant in its head. And just by thinking, can play this video game or maneuver something on a computer. And it was crazy to me. I'm like, no way, this is real. And then there's also, different things they're talking about out there with AI. The dogs that we've seen, they look like dogs, they move like dogs, and they have those guns on their backs. It's like a whole army of these dogs. That's pretty troubling. And then I saw one that was making its rounds too, with it's like men standing up and walking, but they're actually having like an obstacle course that they're jumping on these boxes, jumping down and moving all over the place and maneuvering in ways that better than a person would be. Like, once you get over 30, you get bad knees, right? So these robotic things are like jumping through this obstacle course, bending down, standing up, leaping down. And it was crazy to me. So Elon does have his hands in a lot of different things, obviously, but I can't figure him out either. I can't tell yet. Like I said, I thought the Twitter thing was pretty cool. I thought Twitter's been doing really well. And it's funny because sometimes you'll see on Twitter that people just love it, and other people are saying, what's going on, Elon? This is happening. So, who knows? We just have to keep our eye on it, I guess. But one of the things that really is bothering me and troubled me, I don't know if you guys saw this either, was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm like, what's going on with you, Marjorie? Because she came out after Bannon, and he refused to support Kevin McCarthy over the debt ceiling increase. Last week, Bannon called for Greene to be primaried by someone who was a real MAGA due to her shift away from the support of the grassroots movement. Because we all know that we fell in love with Marjorie. She was outspoken. She had, our best interest at heart. We thought, America first. She backed Mr. T and the movement. She's out there. She wanted to call people to task. She had all this legislation and stuff she was going to put into office and do this and that, and we liked her. Well, then it went where all this stuff came out about her investing in different stocks and stuff, and it was kind of shady, and people were against her for a while and saying this wasn't cool. And it seems like that story cooled and faded off. And then she went back at it again. Her and Matt Gaetz, seemed to be the two big spokespersons that represent we the people out there. And now it comes out that she leaked her own text message with Gaetz. It was from her to Gaetz. Then this is what she says, and it's against Bannon. She says, and Bannon, who was senior counsel to Trump in the White House and responsible for the first debt ceiling increase, because Bannon is reckless and nowhere near fiscally responsible, is now telling everyone I should be primaried. Steve and I aren't getting back together, so she's acting like it's a breakup, which that was kind of funny. Hey, Harvest Mary Moon, good to see you, which is kind of made me laugh. And if he keeps it up, I'll take the house and the kids, which made me laugh more. I'm like, is this a joke? And she says, I hope you send it to Steve because I'm done. So basically, she's slapping him around like he's a bad boyfriend or a bad husband, saying, we're not getting back together. She didn't like that he said she should be primaried and that she's going to take the house and the kids. And so was it a joke? Is it not a joke? I'm hoping it's a joke, but I'm not seeing that as a joke because Bannon went after her last week, and Bannon just calls it like it is. I like Bannon. I have a lot of respect for him, as crazy as he is. He calls it like it is. He's just out there. He has his facts, and he fights for this country, and he wants. I don't see any backpedaling with him on any issues or anything. He is who he says he is, and he just calls it like it is. And, like I said, with Marjorie, we've had a couple flip-flopping things going on with her. Now, people are saying that she's been bought, sold, and paid for, but I don't buy that. I'm just not going to buy it. I'm just taking it as it comes, and I hope you guys too, as these new things unfold. We just have to make sure that we pay attention to it, and we can't just look at it straight and narrow. I mean, this stuff is zigzagging all over the place, and I've said it before that as 2024 gets closer, this stuff I think is going to get even more crazy. You know what I mean? Elon triggered, D-Dog said, Elon triggered the left with buying Twitter. Now it's time to trigger the right. I think it's all a game to him. He's about EV cars and his spaceships. Do you know what? That could be very true. Maybe he's just playing a game with Twitter. I mean, it's all fun and games to him because, when you have a creative mind like that, you need something to distract you and something that you can laugh at and have fun. And that's probably his level of having fun. It does make it for an interesting time. That is for sure. That is definitely for sure. So anyways, you have to remember too, you guys, and I want Marjorie to be on our side. I really do. And I mean, on the side of America. I don't mean left or right. I mean, just on the side of America and fighting for everything that we as individuals are fighting for and want for this country that we're losing so fast because so many people have flipped and bought and sold themselves, or whatever you want to say. There's hardly any true people out there, and that it gets just frustrating, and it's like you feel like tossing the head in, but you can't give up the fight. You got to keep fighting the good fight. But Green, remember, she became famous basically and got her MAGA rise with Trump. She was a supporter of Trump. She would show up at his events, but the big one that she got her notoriety from was Steve Bannon's War Room. I mean, so Bannon's the one that made her famous and gave her credibility, more credibility than she already had. And then, she started showing up at Trump events and stuff like that and rallies. So I hope that it is fake and it's not real, or it's just something to cause some excitement. I don't know. Maybe it's just some friendly fire, mental and physical, or mental and verbal banter between the two of them. We'll have to wait and see. But, also, Marjorie has to remember that Bannon worked with Trump appointees to avoid any debt ceiling increases before he left his post in 2017. Bannon's been around for a long time, so it's not like he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to the debt ceiling. I mean, we can all speculate and read about things, but Bannon was right in there in it. I mean, basically he attacked the measures from Republicans in 2017, 2018, and 2019. So he's basically saying that Marjorie, by attacking him and attacking this, she's attacking her congressional colleagues as well as President Trump, but we'll have to wait and see. And then also another thing, Green has voted with Speaker McCarthy 94% of the time. in the 118th. So she's really been a supporter, apparently, voting wise, with McCarthy. So who knows what's what, you guys. This was just really troubling to me. I do hope she stays strong for us. It's like, exactly, Jennifer, it does. It feels like we are going 3 steps forward, like Jennifer says, and that 2 steps back, and we vote to replace the swamp, and then people do this. People get bought out or sold out or whatever, or threatened. Whatever kind of bad things are going on, it is real, and we all know that happens. And, the people that stay true to the course are the real heroes, because we are fighting for this nation and this country so we don't lose it. And they are on the front lines, because their families get threatened and everything else. So it should never be this way. Obviously, that goes without saying. But like I said, the closer we get to 2024, I'm not going to be surprised by anything, really. And who knows, maybe they're just playing around to create some kind of story and chaos or distraction. You hear that too. You know what I mean? So I try not to get too riled up for too long. I try to just look at stuff and then report on it. It could change tomorrow or the next day. Everything always changes. It's so fast. It's rapid paced here. Who would have thunk something from 2017 is going to come back and bite people in the butt? But apparently it is, with that 1-minute video for that CEO of BlackRock. Crazy. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is, if you guys saw or not, the House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer said the 3-letter agency refused to hand over the unclassified record. Remember, you guys, this is unclassified, and it links Joey B., who was VP, to the pay-for-play bribery scheme with a foreign national. So I saw that today. I watched the 2 videos that came out with James Comer. Hey, Bethia. And Comer came out and said he will now initiate contempt of Congress hearings this Thursday. So Thursday, hopefully we'll hear something, see something that goes on, and something will come out of it. Comer said they're going to continue to be transparent with all the findings, and this document is from July of 2020. He said the claims made in the document are the same that we've already disclosed, where bribery took place, aka suspicious activity, money laundering through banks, and is it consistent in other countries as well? And he said there seems to be a pattern, and there are more documents. And he said, this is an unclassified document. Why won't they let me have it? And he says he believes they won't let him have the document because he wants me to take their word, and they don't want it made public because of the highly credible source that has been with the Bureau since back in the days of Obama. So that's pretty telling right there too. So this highly credible source goes back to the days of Obama. So really, it's kind of all fallen into place, isn't it? They're fighting to keep an unclassified document quiet and don't want to share it with the Oversight Committee chair. So now here it comes Thursday. They're going to push comes to shove with these people. And this is another big thing that ties into this that we have to remember. Hunter had child bad things on there, and I don't want to say the words, you know what I'm talking about, on his laptop. We're well aware of that. We've seen it. We know it. More stuff came out. But remember that Barr covered that crap up. He covered that crap up to help Joe steal what he stole, the presidency. So Barr can't go unaccountable either. So I'm still not going to hold my breath, but I'm waiting to see what's going to come out about Barr. Because remember, he's had all this way back in the day. So now this ties into an unclassified document. Then they have legit documents. They have legit laptop pictures and stuff. And all these people work together, it seems like, to cover it up, to hide it, to make it go away. Because I really believe that they figured we're stupid and we're not going to be paying attention, or we'll give up, or whatever they may think. And whatever they may think is not good. But you know, we are the American people. We fight for our freedom. We fight for this country, and we fight for the generations to come. No, there's the majority of us do not want to live the way these people are wanting us to live. You know, like I said, they attack Mr. T, and we go round and round about this all the time. Well, Mr. T isn't the hero. Mr. T is one person, you know, and we want other people to run, maybe DeSantis, you know, all these different people. But this is the thing, you guys, that I always come back to all these years later. Mr. T is the only one who has never flim-flammed on what he said. He's always stood up for the military, for the elderly, for us to have jobs. We had the best economy, you know, all it goes on and on. We know we had the best of the best when he was in office. And I always say, what would have happened and how good a shape would we be in if he wouldn't have faced all this false crap? We find out this is all these false charges, let alone the amounts of money that has been spent on all this coming after him, while they ignore Hunter's laptop, they ignore Barr and what he knew. They ignore all this crap, and they don't want to hand over one unclassified document. When does it come time that, you know, the playing field gets leveled? It doesn't seem very level at all. And as closer we get to 2024, I think it's going to stay just as bad. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. But, you know, Mr. T, they had a problem with his kids having jobs in the area, you know, in the White House, and different things they were doing. They were legit jobs. You look at the B family, the Bydon family. What does that come out to be? What have we seen and learned about that family? So, no, it's not just Mr. T, but I'm going to say it again all these years later. Mr. T woke us up. Everything that Mr. T has said so far has come true, and there's been a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of you know, flip hat people, rhinos, but the Dems, the same thing. It's not just left or right anymore. It is either you're for and pro America or you're not. In my opinion, you're either for the hard worker, for keeping jobs here in the US, for our country first, and just stop throwing billions of dollars out at everybody else and take care of ourselves first. Mr. T is the only one that I hear screaming that loud, screaming that year after year. He's also the only one that I see that puts God into the equation, God first. And he's like, I'm not the hero. It's this man above. I don't hear that from anybody else. So that is my thing about Mr. T. He's been researched. He's been, his family's been dragged through the mud. We've said this a million times, but we can't take it for granted, you guys, because if this was our family, or this was our loved one, let's say, you know, it was our husband or our wife that was the president, and they've been through all this. And then now you see this next president and how unfair and unbalanced it is. He could have quit a long time ago and went away, but he's not a quitter. Thank God he wasn't, because I don't know how many people are as strong as him to stay on the forefront. You know, look what's happened to Bannon. Bannon's another one. You know, whatever you think about him, Bannon's out there fighting every day. Bannon's out there being real. Giuliani's out there being real. Giuliani has a YouTube show he does. He talks about this stuff over and over. You know, at one time, Giuliani was America's mayor. He was loved upon. He was the best mayor ever. And then people started making fun of him when he was going around doing the different things they was doing in the different counties with the election stuff going on and stuff. And it's like we raise these people up, and then we're quick to drag them down, and we want to see them fall. And I just don't get that. I just don't understand it. These are heroes, and these are fighters that are on the forefront for us. For those of us who maybe don't want to be on the forefront, you know, who are praying in the background, or, you know, we're just watching things happen. Thank God there's fighters like that don't care that they're made fun of, don't care that they're mocked, don't care that they're called names, because they're fighting for the freedoms of this country and we the people. And it affects us, you guys, whether you like him or not. He's out there fighting for you, your children, your grandchildren, and to make this world a safe and better place for them. Because God Almighty, we have seen what it's been like under the Biden administration. It's ridiculous. He just fell flat on his face the other day. So how can you take that seriously? If we can't even have a president who can't walk properly, how do you think other countries are going to take us seriously? They don't. They don't at all. Um, the dishwash. Oh, Tom Fitton's house was swatted the other day. D-Dog, I love Tom Fitton. I watch him too. See, that's what I mean, you guys. Where is all the swatting going on for Biden and Hunter and all these people? Where is it? It's like tilted. The scale is like boop, and we need to even that back up. And, we need to keep fighting the fight and staying strong in it, even though there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of noise, and we feel like we really don't know what's going on. You have to get past personalities. You have to get past Trump being called the orange man, or Trump, saying things in a way that you may not like it. He may curse, he may seem cocky and arrogant, but you sometimes when you go to battle, you have to be a strong warrior. You have to be aggressive. You have to be confident. You have to be strong when you've got the whole world coming at you. You definitely have to be. What does that man have to gain? You know what I mean? So I don't think that there's and I agree with Harvest Mary Moon. He's not a politician. Some may argue that he's become one, but he was just like one of us, and he got there and he went there. And look what he's done all these years later. It's just, he's still fighting this good fight. And it is scary out there sometimes, Harvest. It is scary out there. But it's scarier, I think, for our children and the teenagers and the young generations watching this. If it's scary for us, imagine how it is for them. And that's where I stay strong, is because I care about the kids. I care about what my son's telling me. Well, Mom, and the different things that he tells me about college and all that. Back in the day, it was a couple years ago, he's like, Mom, college is this and this and this, for the most part, this and this. And he's telling me all about how, everything that's come true about colleges. We've heard about colleges and how the scale is tipped and bent, and how celebrities can pay certain amounts of fees, or make donations to get their kids in there. It's not a fair ground for these kids even going to college. And then some of the colleges, what they teach them is not very good. And then they get out of college and they're all fighting for the same jobs for the most part, but there's no guarantees anymore. There's no guarantees where you go to school, you go to college, and then you're guaranteed a job and work your way up the ladder. The trades, to me, are where it's at now. The trades are where it's at. My son was training to be an EMT and fireman, and I'm surprised at how many younger kids around here, that's what they're doing. They're all training and going into those kind of services, because, even though it's a very dangerous job, it has stability to it, and it has benefits and everything else. And plumbing is another good one to get into. I mean, plumbing, everybody always needs plumbers, right? And electricians, mechanics. Airplane mechanics are big around here too, you guys. That's a really good career to have. But all the different trades and stuff, before, people would frown upon that. I remember back in the day, when my dad, he worked for one of the big three, worked for Ford Motor Company. And, that was the whole thing. They called them shop rats, right? Because they worked for the big three. They were linemen on the line and stuff. And, they didn't seem to have much glamour or dignity, but they worked their butts off. Man, my dad worked his butt off. I mean, he worked his way up to an office eventually, but he still was like one of the main people, that like an inspector or something, where he went around the floor and make sure the line was running right. He was never like a white collar executive. But the point is, there was stability. You started, once you got in, that was a great job to get in, because the money was good. You could have benefits and stuff, and you could support your family. You could look for a future and stuff. And then when it was getting it wasn't even near retirement time, but I forget what years it was. Remember when everybody was offering people buyouts and stuff, and you could some people they would let stay, but they offered them buyouts and stuff. So that's when the collapse of the big three and stuff started happening from Detroit, where I was at. All the factories started closing and stuff, and it was just so sad, because the Motor City, hence the Motor City, everybody worked for the big three for the most part. And then Detroit went downhill after that. But that's really sad. So that's my point maybe the trades are actually trying to make a comeback. They're trying to make a comeback. Small businesses are fighting so hard against these major corporations, just trying to have a corner bakery, a corner butcher, a corner store for friendliness and getting that one-on-one personable service, because everything is so impersonable anymore, or personal. So I think it's good. We just have to keep fighting the fight. There's a lot of us out there. I think we are the majority, and we'll win eventually. We just have to go into battle. D-Dog, find me a farmer that knows the Constitution and doesn't want to be president, but will be willing to do it. I'll support him 100 and help him get in. Awesome. Yeah, D-Dog, not such a bad idea right there either. There's a farmer's market here not far from me. It's like, probably a half mile from me. They're open on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I go and support them because, for one, everything's fresh. The bread's homemade. It's from scratch. The bread is so, with no preservatives, nothing. They actually tell you where I buy it that to put it in the freezer and take it out. Excuse me, because after a couple days, it'll go bad because there's no artificial ingredients in it. But just going to that is my point, is this: just going to that, even though it's on a small scale and it's in a city. My city's small. It's not a big city. We mostly have airport workers and teachers here. From Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson International Airport. So it's an airport community, and it's a teachers community. I don't fit into that, but hey, it is what it is. This is where I'm at. So, but anyhow, this farmer's market is amazing because, as small as it is, there's still that sense. There's that old-fashioned sense of happiness and unity, and it's just like going back to when I was little and raised on a farm. We would go to our neighbors, which were farmers. We had a dairy farmer across the street, a meat farmer next door, and then there were farmers that had gardens and stuff, and we would just go around our neighborhood and buy from them, from their homes. And this is like it reminds me of that, because everybody's happy. It's like everybody loses their sense of anxiety, anger, frustration, whatever it is. And it's just a happy atmosphere. Everybody's having a good time carrying their fresh produce, their fresh fruits, their fresh bread. And I tell you, it's a little mini escape 2 days a week that we get to enjoy. And it's just lovely. And because a lot of the farmers around here have sold their properties out. They've got families that just don't want to take it over. It's too much work. It's too time consuming. It's too costly. And it's really sad for me to see that. I mean, I'm in the South, for heaven's sakes. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. So that is my peace of mind, is being able to go outdoors to this farmer's market and just support them. And to tell you the truth, the bread, this brand of bread that we get is up to $6.50 a loaf. And at the farmer's market, it's only $6 a loaf. So the thing is, it's not even more expensive than what's at the store. The store is actually more expensive. So I just put it in the freezer. You take a couple slices out, it thaws out pretty fast. Put it in the toaster if you need to, right from the freezer. And it's fantastic. And it's just great to be able to support the farmers. They have flowers you can buy. I've said this once before, but it's really cool, where they have these little mason jars, and then there's a lady that just picks a bunch of wildflowers or cuts them from her farm, and you can make your own flower vase, your flower arrangement, and it's like $20 or something. Or it's like $20 for a big one, I think, and $10 for like a small one, like 7 or 8 different flowers. And it is the coolest thing because they're beautiful. And she comes, and how can you not enjoy that kind of atmosphere? And then, of course, it's the handmade goat's milk lotions, soaps, and stuff like that. And then they've got the essential oils and all that stuff going back to me. back in the day when you had a small community and you had the corner store that everybody would go by. And I'm going like way back, in the dirt road and horse and buggy days where you had a community. I liken it to Greenfield Village, which is in Dearborn, Michigan, which is a makeup of, it's Henry Ford Greenfield Village. It's a makeup of the town, a town how it was in the old days. And they actually have people dressed from back in the day, how they would, and they have the farm that's growing, and then they had the glass blowers in there and stuff, and then they have the houses that have the original furniture and quilts on the beds and stuff like that from way back in the day. And I'm like, I love it because it's the museums there too. But I'm not against that. I think that would be really cool just to have a community like that. It's only so big, and then you have the farmers, then you have the sewers, then you have the people who make different things, the people that weave through baskets. They have basket weavers there. I just love that kind of stuff. I know that it's convenient to have stores and stuff like that, but I would much rather get back to the individual stores. And I know with online ordering and stuff, that makes it very convenient for people. And I understand that, especially people, it's hard to leave their home. And I have to tell you one good thing that came from being shut down. Harvest Merry Moon, what, as bad as everything is, it is going back in time. People will adapt and be healthier. I agree, Harvest Merry Moon. And sharing home remedies, with each other and stuff. Also, what was I going to say? D-Dog, my dad retired from Ford, Michigan truck plant. Oh, wow. Small world, D-Dog. Yeah, my dad was in Romeo, but then that closed down and became a tractor plant. And then he worked at the tractor plant. And then he, I don't know if it closed down or what happened, but he ended up working out the rest of his career in Livonia at the Ford plant in Livonia. And his father or grandfather was a Ford guy too. So yeah, it's a small world. Ford was good. My dad would not let anything in the driveway but a Ford. He like when we moved down here, I know I'm going all over the place, aren't I? That's what I usually do. Down here, D-Dog, it was so funny because my dad coming down here, there's Toyotas and all these other brands of cars. And he's like, Tammy, I'm like, I know, Dad, but it's because Toyota is not far from here. Because when you're in Michigan, as D-Dog knows, it's Ford, Chevy, or GM vehicles, and that's it. So it was an awakening to have a Ford vehicle down here, and there weren't a heck of a lot of them. But it is what it is. Things change, and you move different places, and you learn different things. Pre-delivery manager, very good. Yeah, my dad was on the line. Like I said, he was a lineman, and then he went into the office and was like an inspector, a line inspector, or something like that. I forget, but yeah, he was there, retired, and it was amazing. He always had new vehicles because of the discounts and stuff. He loved transferring his vehicles out all the time. So I went through quite a few different ones of my own. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I was on track to something, and then I got sidetracked here. What was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about the different communities, like Harvest Merry Moon was saying, that even though I lived on a farm for a small part of my life, it was dirt roads. We got snowed in the winter. You couldn't go anywhere unless you went on a snowmobile. Or in the summer, sometimes, believe it or not, our neighbors would drive the tractor, and us kids, because I was young then, would be in the back in the trailer. And the best part of it was we used to help them bale hay. And baling hay, that's a lot of hard work, especially in the muggy summer. And it would pick you and poke you, and it was a pain in the butt. But the reward was, at the end of the day, when you were done baling the hay for a while, we got to barbecue outside. We've had hamburgers, hot dogs, corn on the cob, tomatoes, and they had a pond, and we used to go swimming in the pond to cool off. And I'm telling you, it was like a dang movie. Those were the best times. It was like a few short years of my life. We had farm animals and stuff, but it's still like the best years of my life. And I think every kid should be able to experience it, whether you take them horseback riding or you take them to a farm so they can pet the animals and have exposure to it. It's just, there's something about it. There's something about it. My mom still gets cars under the Z plan. Yeah. Yeah. That those Z plans, the A plan, the Z plan, all that good stuff. Um, but anyhow, so farm life, I love farm life. It's a tough life. It is a very tough life, and but it's a lot of hard work, but it's amazing. We had cows or calves, little ones, I guess you'd say. And as a kid, when you run out in the field and you call the cows by their name and they come running to you, there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. I feel very blessed that I was able to experience all that. And I guess I have a longing for that because actually, when we moved down here, I was thinking about moving to a local area and getting 5 acres and having a farm again, a small one, of course, a tiny little one with a few animals. But you know what? I'm like, you know what? I'm too old for that. My husband and I, that's too much work, and we'll just let it go because, and it's so expensive too. It's very expensive to upkeep on keep on the animals and stuff. I remember we used to have vets come to the house, and one of the best things I ever experienced on a farm was I had a Shetland pony who got pregnant and was going to have a baby. And my mom woke my brother and I up, and we got to miss school because she was having the baby, the foal. And we went into the barn, and I got to watch her be born. And it was the coolest thing ever. And she was this beautiful brown and beige spotted horse because my Shetland pony was black and white. Shetland pony, and then she was bred with a retired racehorse. His name was Sir Guy, and he was a big one. He was a big, tall horse, and she had that baby, and it was the most beautiful. It reminded me of the horses that you see on TV, with the painted horses where it has splotches on it. And she was beautiful, and we named her Windy, and she was the most beautiful thing. So there's things like that that you experience on a farm that you can't, it's hard to even put in words. It just stays in your mind. And there's just such a sense of freedom to be able to go outside and hang with your animals and take care of them, and play with them and all that kind of good stuff. And people from the neighborhood used to come by. All the teenagers would come by on their horses, and we'd pick each other up, and then we'd all go horseback riding. And when I say neighborhood, it's like when you're in farmland, it's all dirt roads. You're lucky to pass a tractor. And then all of us would ride together. And I still remember that being one of the best things in my life. Heck with having a car at 16, have a horse, and then have your friends come pick you up on horses. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I worked for 3 farmers from the age 11 to 17. You know what, D-Dog? I also, my first job was a strawberry picker for Bigelow's Farms up there. I remember that I got up at, had to be to work at 7 in the morning, would work most half of the day, and, pick strawberries. And that whole summer I worked. And boy, those mosquitoes come out that early in the morning. It's terrible. Anyhow, and I'd pick strawberries on my hands and knees. I worked all summer and saved up, and I bought my first, this is going to say how old I am, you guys, my first stereo system myself. And it was an AM FM stereo with the big speakers, but it had the turntable. It was an album, 33 album on it. And I thought that was the coolest thing. My parents took me, and $99 back in that day. I mean, that was like in the 70s. I mean, that was a big deal to have that much money. And I worked all summer to get it. And I cherished that thing, and used to sit and just play albums and stuff. It was the best time ever. But yeah, I loved strawberry picking. Hey, Concerned Patriot, South Carolina. Hey, you're not far from me. South Carolina is beautiful, Concerned Patriot. It is absolutely gorgeous. I've been there a couple times. But yeah, I was like I said, a strawberry farm picker, and then babysitting was a big deal up there and stuff. So yeah, it was good times. I guess I long for those times, and I guess a lot of people do, because like Harvest Mary Moon said and stuff, when you've been raised either on a farm or in the country, or like me, every Sunday we'd get together at my grandmother's house on my dad's side. We'd have, our Sunday best on, And then we'd have to bring a change of clothes because we had to play outside and get out of the adults' way while she cooked dinner. And, there'd be anywhere from like 12 to 20 of us every Sunday. We got together in this small little farmhouse and had one bathroom. Think to that. I was saying to my husband the other day, remember back in the day with houses, it'd be 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and we survived. You'd have your whole family over both sides for holidays, and there was always room. And you know what? The bathroom was always available. We made it with 1 bathroom. But the point being, you just long for that, because I remember those days. I look forward to those Sundays, and we'd play outside, and we'd come in for dinner, and that would be it. And we were with cousins all the time, every weekend. And I miss that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys too. So if you do still get together with family or live close to family and you can still enjoy that time with family, you're pretty blessed. You're pretty dang blessed and lucky. Even if family drives you crazy, even if you've got a crazy Uncle Bill or a crazy grandma, whatever it may be, cherish them and enjoy them, because you know what? If they're still around, you are blessed and you are lucky, because there's stories to tell. And the storytelling through generations of family has gotten lost a lot. I will tell you, it's this coolest thing what my husband's doing, you guys. He got these tapes. For those of you who are youngins, he's got these cassette tapes, all right? Not 8-track tapes, but cassette tapes. And they're from his generations, his family. And his family made these tapes and interviewed each other and had them tell stories about their lives and stuff. So he comes from the military and doing filming documentaries in the military. So he loves technology. He loves film and audio. He was on radio. He was a newsman his whole life. He made a career from that once he got out of the military. So he loves all that kind of stuff, editing and software and stuff like that. So he comes from the days, obviously, where it's reel to reels, or like in radio when we started, were these big reels of tape. Well, he's actually got these little cassette tapes that he had bought programs on the computer, and my daughter actually had to help him use it because he's used to the old ways, because we're old timers, right? We're the OGs from technology. So he's able to transfer all this stuff off of these cassette tapes because he found something that would play it and do it, and transfer it onto the computer. So he's editing it all. And then he's going to have all of us say and do something so he can share that with future generations and leave a legacy and keep that legacy going. And he's updating all the technology. So he is having a blast, doing all this, transferring it to the upgraded technology, because who the heck knows what technology is going to be like in a few years from now, right? So he's took it upon himself to upgrade all these different films and audio tapes for the family, and he's going to put it together and then share it to their surviving family members and stuff. So I think that's pretty darn cool, because there is stories in that. He's hearing his great grandmother, and you hear their voices, and it seems like so long ago, because now the audio and everything's crystal clear, and on these tapes it's not clear at all. But I do love the technology from back in the day. I still love vinyl. I still love albums. I have friends who go around collecting them. Actually, D-Dog in Detroit, some of my radio friends make trips of it, because I think there's a couple there still in Detroit, but they actually travel out of state. And there's a group of them that go together like once a year, and they take a weekend and they go in search of vinyl. And it's just to try to find record shops and stuff. They're few and far between. And I actually went to a donation type store. I forget what it's called. Anyhow, they had a few albums there, and I was looking through them, and it's kind of crazy because albums that were brand new and out at the time when I was younger are like actually in the collector's cabinets, and it's like you need somebody to open the cabinet to access them. And I'm like, whoa, Nelly, talk about a hit to time. because I'm like, I remember when that was available just to go to the record store and you flip through those records and you could buy it. Here, now I have to go get somebody to open up the curio cabinet. It's behind glass, lock and key for me to even be able to take a look at it because it's an antique. Hang on one second, I got a cough. Excuse me. Anyhow, my nephews have a crazy Uncle D dog. Hey, be the crazy one that they never forget. There's you gotta, leave a mark some way, somehow, right? Because we always have the stern family member, and then we always have the crazy one, and then we have the fun one, and then we have the cool uncle. So I mean, every family has different sorts of people in their families, don't they? And you gotta enjoy it, right? You never know what you're gonna get. All right. I got so far off track, you guys, but it's good talking with you. So I got to get to the last thing because then I have to head out for the night because I got to work in the morning. But the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick here, excuse me, I got this tickle now, is Cornel West. You guys know Cornel West. If you don't know Cornel West, go ahead and look him up. He announced that he's running for president with a third party, the People's Party. And the People's Party was founded by former campaign staff member for Bernie Sanders. But this guy, this Cornel West, do yourself a favor and look him up if you don't know who he is. I didn't want to show pictures and stuff. It's not hard to find him because it's making all the news stories because it's just been announced. He's an activist. He called the U.S. a racist, patriarchal nation. And it says he focuses on the role of race, gender, and class in American society and the means by which people act and react to their radical conditionedness. Oh, that sounds pretty interesting, doesn't it? So anyways, you've got some people have their Bernie replacement, I guess. Hey, Sharon Whitmore, it's so good to see you. It's been a while. So Cornel West, he's an activist, like I said, but he did call the U.S. a racist, patriarchal nation. I don't know if that's somebody that I would vote for necessarily, but I find that interesting that, who knows that he's got a leg to stand on, who knows? But like I said, people that liked Bernie Sanders and stuff will be happy. Probably somebody is running under the People's Party. To me, it's the People's Party. That is far from being a People's Party. With the different things I read up on him and the different things that he stood for, that certainly doesn't sound like a People's Party to me. So anyhow, that was about all the news that I could stomach today and put together. I know it was a lot, but boy, there's a lot more out there. There's just verbal darts and there's just verbal slings going all over the place with people. And like I said, I'm keeping my eye on this Marjorie Taylor Greene and Stephen K. Bannon issue because I'm hoping, because they were together and hitting campaigns and hitting events. When I went to the Mike Lindell event, she was there, excuse me, I'm like coughing up a storm. But anyhow, they seem like a powerhouse, power couple in doing what they're doing. Not a couple as far as a couple. I'm saying as co-workers, standing up for the same kind of thing, good teammates, have each other's back and stuff. But apparently either this is a joke and they're playing around, or she seriously did flip her switch and she's not happy with Steve Bannon and he called her out wanting her primaried. So we'll have to wait and see, like I said earlier, how this unfolds and stuff, because the thing that makes me think it's a joke, you guys, is when she said Steve and I aren't getting back together. Because remember, she did get her fame off War Room. Steve supported her and had her on there and stuff. And she said she's done with War Room. That's it. She's done. But she said, Steve and I aren't getting back together. And if he keeps it up, I'll take the house and kids. So I didn't see her say it. It was just a statement. She said this in a text, but I don't know if she's spoken out on it. It was a text she sent to Matt Gaetz, and she said, I'm done. So we'll have to wait and see about this, you guys. We really will, because I like her. She's a little fireball. So I hope she hangs in there and hangs tough for us, Putin is the People's Party. The People's Party is the same as the Russian People's Party. Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, that's about all I got, you guys. I think that was enough. It's been over an hour and stuff, and I don't want to go on too long, and just keep talking and talking because I will and I can. I enjoy the company and I enjoy sharing stuff with you guys and you guys sharing stuff with me. But like I said, I got to wrap it up because I have to get to work in the morning. But thanks each and every one of you for joining me. And those of you I haven't seen in a while, it's good to see you again. Harvest Mary Moon, you're here. I know when you can, D Dog, you too. Sharon, it was good to see you. Christopher, thanks for the support. Bethia, all you guys. Don't want to miss anybody and leave anybody out, but I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon on the next one, you guys. Take care. Have a great rest of your night. Okay. Bye.